Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the History of Fiber Arts. My name is Cassandra with Fiber Fiction and I'm so glad you're here. So grab your favorite drink and your current whip and let's chat. I've always been that person who is fascinated by the stories that don't make it into the school textbooks. Kind of like the hidden history. I've been crocheting for almost 20 years now, and as I've gotten deeper into fiber arts, I've realized that our hobbies aren't just a way to pass time. They're actually a direct link to some of the most resilient, clever, and even rebellious people in history. I started fiber fiction because I wanted to bridge that gap. I wanted to look at the ball of silk or wool in my hands and see more than just a material. I wanted to see the 8,000-year-old chemistry, the ancient spy heists, and the secret codes that literally changed the world. So in this series, we're going to do just that. We're going to dive into the science and the untold stories of fiber from every corner of the globe. Because honestly, the history of how we clothe and protect ourselves is way more high stakes than anyone has ever told you. Now, I have been sharing a little bit about the history on my social media already, which you can find linked in the description box below, but I wanted to start sharing more longer form videos with more of a storytelling vibe to them. So if you are ready to look at your yarn stash in a completely different way than you ever have before, I'm glad you're here. Let's start unraveling the past together, starting with a single filament of silk. Now, weight for weight, silk has a tensile strength to it that is comparable to steel. And for 2,000 years, the biological code to create this was a state secret guarded by the death penalty. And while we're talking about the Silk Road, it wasn't just about trade, it was actually the world's first theater of high-stakes industrial espionage. Today, we aren't just telling a legend, we're looking at the biochemistry, the archaeology, and the 6th century heist that ended the longest-running monopoly in human history. Most people know the legend of Empress Lezu, how in 2640 BC, a cocoon fell into her hot tea and unraveled. But the why behind that accident is pure chemistry. The silkworm Bombyx mori spins its cocoon using a double strand of fibroin, the structural protein held together by sericin, which is a gummy protective glue. Sericin is water soluble, but only at extremely high temperatures. So when the cocoon hit her hot tea, it underwent degumming. The heat dissolved the sericin, allowing the mile-long filament of fibroin to be reeled off in one continuous strand. Lezu's true genius wasn't the finding of the thread, it was inventing the silk reel in the loom to handle a fiber so fine that it takes roughly 2,500 cocoons to make a single pound of silk. And while Lezu is legendary, archaeological finds in the Jiahui tombs at Yangshao sites confirm silk production as far back as 8,500 years ago, nearly 3,000 years before the legendary empress. For 3 millennia, China was the only place on earth that knew how to produce domesticated silk. They selectively bred the Bombyx mori until it became a blind insect that couldn't fly and could only survive on a strict diet of white mulberry leaves. Now, by the 2nd century BC, the Silk Road was established. Silk wasn't just fabric, it became a currency. It was used to pay soldiers, settle government debts, and buy peace with warring tribes. To protect this gold, the Chinese government enforced laws. Initially, only the imperial family could wear it. If you tried to smuggle silkworms or mulberry seeds out of the country, the penalty was execution. Now, that monopoly finally broke in the 6th century, and it reads kind of like a spy novel. The players were 2 Nestorian monks, and the Byzantine Emperor Justinian I. At the time, they were at war with Persia, who controlled the Silk Road trade routes. Justinian was kind of hemorrhaging gold to his enemies just to buy silk for his court. And according to the historian Procopius, these monks traveled on a mission of biological theft, so to speak. They knew they'd be searched, so they used kind of hollowed out bamboo walking staves, and they filled these staves with silkworm eggs and mulberry seeds. They had to travel thousands of miles, keeping the eggs cool enough so that they wouldn't hatch prematurely. Now, they made it back to Constantinople, and this single act of biological theft shifted the economic center of gravity from the east to the west for centuries. Now, why did they risk their lives for a worm? Because of the physics of the fiber. Silk can be stretched up to 20% of its length before breaking. Unlike cotton, which has a flat ribbon-like structure, silk is a triangular prism, and it refracts light at different angles, which gives it that pearly shimmer we love in our yarn today. In the 1800s, silk was used for the first bulletproof vests. Today, scientists are looking at silk proteins for biomedical sutures and even microchips. When you hold a silk blend today, you're holding 8,000 years of chemistry, imperial secrets, and an ancient heist. Next time, we're going to head into the Andes to explore how the Inca used twists and plies of fiber to run an entire empire as a tactile computer. If you want a full list of the sources that I used today, check that description box below and subscribe if you believe history is better when it's unraveled. And again, I'm Cassandra with Fiber Fiction, and I hope to see you for the next episode. Comment below what you want to learn more about in regards to fiber arts.